Do y'all think the feds proved that Rico against Diddy? Diddy might be cooked, honestly, for the simple fact that all the people that worked for Diddy, they turned on him and they were granted immunity to testify.
Garcia said that at the time he told her off the record it's bad, but he was 24, he was just a security guard. He said that he didn't have any way to get this footage to secure it for them. But the story we ended up hearing is that he reached out to a supervisor of his who decided to get that footage for Sean Combs. And also during all this, Combs was getting on the phone with Garcia and calling him Eddie, my angel, telling him that he knew that he could help. Ultimately, they did get Combs that footage, handed it over to him. Combs gave them $100,000 for that. And Garcia recounted how he went to Combs' apartment. One of the bodyguards was there, and so was Christina Coram, his assistant, as Combs counted the money, gave Garcia some tea because Garcia said he was so nervous that his voice was cracking, and he told them he wasn't feeling well. So we're also seeing how there were other employees who were part of this attempt to cover up the apparent assault that happened on Cassie Ventura at that hotel room.
So basically, they were saying that they had the ability to charge everybody that was doing different things for Diddy, but they didn't charge him and gave him all immunity to testify. And everybody got up there and testified to certain things that Diddy has done. And in the mind of jury members, they're going to look at it as the connection to Diddy, the people that work for him, and people testified that they felt that if they didn't do certain things, that they would lose their jobs and they would be held accountable. Basically saying that Diddy was forcing these people to do things. At one point, I thought that maybe they weren't going to be able to prove the Rico for the simple fact that we're hearing about all of the sexual acts that Diddy has done along the way. And then I started to think about it and say, well, what about Diddy having the people that work for him do certain things? And the feds then told these people that if you don't testify, we're going to charge you in these acts.
The prosecution has been trying to establish that there were freak-offs, and they have to establish that the freak-offs were essentially crimes, these coerced sexual episodes, evidence of sex trafficking, that they're essentially crime scenes. And they've called witnesses, including this individual, who just to establish the freak-offs happened. And I guess the defense is trying to say, well, were they, and by the way, it corroborates Cassie's testimony too about her description of these freak-offs, and it corroborates the testimony of alleged sex workers who say, you know, these are where the freak-offs happened or how they happened. But I think what the defense is trying to do is say, hey, Cassie was a willing participant. She helped to book them. She helped to set them up. So here's another example of a witness that is being used by both sides to prove their individual case, their individual narrative, as we see throughout the course of this case.
And, you know, one of the people that testified, he tried to plead the fifth not to testify, and they gave him immunity to testify. So I wonder what you guys think. Do y'all think by the feds giving these people immunity that they were participants in these acts, that they had a potential chance of being charged? Or do y'all think that they were just tricked and scared into testifying against Diddy? You know, Diddy been in the industry for a long time, and you know, he had a lot of influence and power. Being as though that he had that level of influence and power, dealing with people, the feds are going to go to the people that you employed, you dealt with, and they're going to scare them. Now, they done scared these people in the testifying against Diddy, and now, Diddy's life is on the line, and it's a lot of people that Diddy screwed over. So it's a lot of people that don't care about what happens to Diddy. It's like that. You deal with people and, you feel that you have a certain level of power over people, which you might have at a current time. But when it comes time for them to be there for you when you need them, they're going to turn against you because they dealt with you under fear the whole time. And that is major about having people fear you. When you are feared in life, it might go in your favor at that current moment, but eventually it's going to be used against you. It happens all the time when people get themselves indicted in certain situations because they were living a life when people feared them. But once the people that don't fear you, which is the state, the government, then the people that fear you end up turning against you, and you got to sit there and really try to defend yourself against the same people that you had installed a level of fear. So is it really good to make people fear you, to help you along the way? Or is it not good for people to fear you because they'll be turned around and used on you in the end? And as we see here, they're using everything that Diddy did against him. All the fear that he installed in people, all the people that he did wrong, no one's there to have his back. And that is major in life because you might feel like you're winning at one point, which I'm sure Diddy felt that he was winning big time for years. 30-year run of nothing but winning. Even when he had bumps in the road, he was still winning. But now we see the outcome of the fear that he installed in people. There's multiple people that said along the way how Diddy was. You hear me? Multiple people talked about Diddy's business practices, how he took advantage of them in their contracts, how he was ignorant, cocky, arrogant. And now that this situation happened, whereas though he's been indicted, he's on trial, all of those people feel like this is the time that we come out and really tell how we felt about dealing with Diddy. And these are the things that one doesn't expect when they feel that they have a certain level of power. And the level of power that Diddy had, he didn't expect to ever lose it. And it's usually like that. When you are in position, you never really look at that you might have a fall because you had a lot of stumbles in your life, but you never fail. You always stayed afloat. But when it comes to the justice system, that fight there will buckle your knees. And, they really buckled Diddy to the point where he doesn't really have a leg to stand on. And now his life is in the hands of other people, whereas though people are going to look at them being an employee. Think about this now. The jury members, they work somewhere. Or they may have worked if they retire. So they're going to think about if their boss was treating them and handling them in this type of manner and how they would react by hearing people testify about the situations that they went through. And, you know, when you look at it, anybody that has experienced someone being aggressive to them because they had a certain position and they were over top of a person, they're going to have sympathy for these people. Now, the entire world on the outside has mixed opinions. Some people feel Diddy deserves to go to jail. Some people feel Diddy deserves not to be convicted of everything. But the people in the courtroom judging this situation, they're going to be the ones that judge everyone's testimony about Diddy. And at this point, they're laying it all out on the line. And they're not done. They are laying it all out on the line about Diddy, how he treated people, how he used to disrespect the people that worked for him, how he had people do different freaky things. And they're going to think about, even though some of these people participated willingly, people get to start thinking in their mind that these people were only doing it to keep their job. And I really don't think that's going to weigh in favor of Diddy. But when I look into this situation is deep, right? Now, President Trump is doing a lot of pardons. Diddy and Trump had a relationship at one time. Now, Trump said he hasn't talked to Diddy in years, but Trump said he would look into it, and no matter how the relationship was at the time, he would still make a fair decision if he felt he needed a pardon and he was treated unfairly.
You hosted The Apprentice. You mentioned once in 2012 that Diddy was a good friend of yours back then. He has since found himself in some very serious legal trouble.
Yeah, that's true.
Would you ever consider pardoning him?
Well, nobody's asked. You had to be the one to ask, Peter, but nobody's asked. But I know people are thinking about it. I know they're thinking about it. I think some people have been very close to asking. First of all, I'd look at what's happening, and I haven't been watching it too closely, although it's certainly getting a lot of coverage. I haven't seen him. I haven't spoken to him in years. He used to really like me a lot, but I think when I ran for politics, he sort of, that relationship busted up from what I read. I don't know, he didn't tell me that, but I'd read some little bit nasty statements in the paper all of a sudden. You know, it's different. You become a much different person when you run for politics and you do what's right. I could do other things, and I'm sure he'd like me, and I'm sure other people would like me, but it wouldn't be as good for our country. As we said, our country's doing really well because of what we're doing. So I can't, it's not a popularity contest. So I don't know, I would certainly look at the facts. If I think somebody was mistreated, whether they like me or don't like me, it wouldn't have any impact on me.
I want you guys to let me know, what do you think? Do you think Trump is going to pardon Diddy? Or do you think Trump is going to not pardon Diddy? Where do you guys see this situation going? Because Diddy's in a situation where his life is on the line. They're trying to give him life. And everything was in Diddy's favor as a free man. And now that the system has got a hold of him, things are not so much in his favor. Because everyone that worked for him has turned against him. And you know, people use people for what they want to, but it doesn't always turn out in your favor in the end. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and share this video. And leave a comment down below and let me know what you think. I appreciate all of y'all. Until next time.